So I've listened to PS Eliot all summer, and we got down to the fest, and we were so tired because we'd been driving, and like, this was like insane road trip that everyone told us we were super crazy to do, which I don't think we were that crazy to do. And we saw PS Eliot, and it was like the first night, and it was just so awesome. Because you know, like when you hear a band and you're listening to them, you get like really excited to see them play live. That doesn't happen a ton anymore, but that was like one of those times. It was the first time I heard them play Tennessee. Like I couldn't make out the words because the sound system was pretty bad, but I was just like, what is this song? This song rules. I don't know. It was like a really cathartic experience. Like we were like in that crowd, and we were like, yeah. And so when we left the fest, we were like we were driving from Gainesville towards New Orleans. So we were driving, I think, towards Mobile. And we were like listening to PS Eliot nonstop, just like going to Waffle House. And so in Tennessee, like it starts out really slow, and then there's a line about like butterfly guts on the windshield. And we were like, oh my god, they're like our butterfly guts on our windshield. Like we had noticed that moment. So that when they said that, that was the moment we were like, wait a minute, like what is this song? The big build-up chorus is like, baby, let's push our limits. So it totally devolved into us just like totally delirious in this car screaming like, baby, let's push our limits. Like, I've got enough gas to get to Tennessee. Like, that's pretty much all I have. And that's part of why I like love PS Eliot so much, just like their lyrics are so specific. So when it hits, you're like, yeah. Something about like the 2-minute pop punk song is such like an amazing, like immediate gratification, like kind of medium. Like it's so satisfying. And to be able to like switch it up and get like several distinct, like a bunch of distinct songs, like all within that, like that are each like individually impactful within just 2 minutes. It's just like pretty aesthetically impressive. And it's not all just like formulaic. I don't know, they write good songs and good words. I play PS Eliot a lot in between sets at shows when I'm running sound. And I feel like a lot of people get really excited about it. Or they're like, what is this? So the second time we saw them was with the same people at Death by Audio at their like last ever Brooklyn show. And that was really cool because that was also a really cathartic experience because all of their fans were like in the same room. And all these people were like, man, there's a lot of girls in this room. Like, wow, look at all these girls in this punk show, which is like still a thing that's sort of like fucked up to observe, like how excited people get. That's true, like that shouldn't be a thing that is out of the ordinary, but it still is. They're like pretty outspoken about their politics, which is cool. And which I guess like you have to be. So that's another thing that I really respect them for. I know Katie wrote a really great essay in this scene that I got when Spoon Boy played here about like sexism in the punk scene. Just speaking out about how like totally douchey it is when a scene that pretends to be this totally radical like counterpoint to mainstream culture like replicates hegemonic values of the dominant culture. Like, you know, because like when punks are like, yeah, we're so like avant-garde, but like then do the same fucked up shit that everyone else does. At the very short PS Eliot reunion set at Selena's, like it was the last set of the night, so people were like kind of like wilding out in the audience, and like I think one of them did that thing that is really cool when artists do when they're like, hey, like this is cool, but like be mindful of your space and like respect the people around you. I think part of like having roots in that punk scene is you're like mindful of like people as humans, not just like this is the audience. Kate Watkins, who runs International Girl Gang Underground, and like who's really outspoken. She was spoken on our Safer Spaces panel, and she's just like a total badass, like a total feminist badass. She designed the cover for Sadie, which was like a cool connection to discover after the fact, but like obviously makes sense because like so many badass feminist punk people know each other. Right now, like the bands that I'm most upset, like the bands that I find like legitimately to be the best are bands that a lot of times I'm like already friends with, or I'll see at shows, or like bands that I like. I mean, we're all like the same age now, sort of like doing work at the same time. It makes it harder to write about music sometimes because you'll write about things in this like abstract, lofty way, and you're like, but that's my friend Joe. We just got beer, and I'm writing about like. So I don't know. I think it's like important to try to focus on the artist thing in itself, but it's also just really exciting to be able to say that like the people that I legitimately think like are making the best art are like within reach and like humans. Like that's so cool. I think it's really exciting that a lot of bands that are getting sort of wider renown now got their start in DIY, like in the DIY culture, which I know like Cake 9 was, and like smaller punk tours and stuff. It's like reassuring knowing that the people that are whose messages are being broadcast like have been like they're not like totally out of touch with what the situation on the ground is. They're one of my favorite bands because they write really good pop songs and have like solid punk politics and good lyrics, and I don't know, it's really relatable. Yeah. What else? PS Eliot. I don't know. They're just like a really good band.